Good morning, folks. Good morning. We are live. Good morning. How goes it? All right. Oh, there we go. So, what are we going to be playing today? Well, I got to switch the TV screens on over first. After, of course, pausing the music. All right. We are going to be playing more Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Let me just get into the game here. All right, bringing it up. And we're going to play on our main character, not on the Special Forces by Country character. So it's going to be more or less a chill stream, because we're just going to faff about and kill dudes. Remington, what you doing? Better not get on the computer. Hey. What are you doing? I have to watch him because I know his usual behavior. Hey! Leave it! This is not how I wanted to start the stream. Have my cat threaten to get on my computer and shut my computer off. Fucking hell. Alright. You! Behave. Alright. Let's see what they broke this time. Hopefully the follow bot fucks off. But I hope Twitch can figure out how to ban this person. Because honestly, it's kind of, bumming me out. Okay. So, first thing we're gonna do is get to a bivouac. So I can buy some stuff, some new items. What are you doing? He's just sitting there threateningly. Coffee machine's going crazy. And I am playing with tiered loot on so I can get all the cosmetics that are not available in immersive mode. And I think after I permanently, or once I 100% everything with this character, I don't think I'm going to do that again. Shop? Okay. Handgun extended mag. Various suppressors. Oakley Jawbreaker. That's not new, just I wanted to buy it. Just looking at some stuff. Yep, and here we have our Call of Duty weapon skins. Alright, let's see about buying some guns. They did add some new guns. No, they did not. That's part of the event. That's right. I mean, technically they added 2 of the guns. They added the SVD-63 Patchwork and the Paladin 9 Sniper Rifle Survival. So... I think we're good. Alright, let's make a whole new character. In fact, I'm gonna go with ponytail since my hair is getting quite long. Yeah, that'll do. Let's see, what kind of camo do I want? Okay. Do visual palette 2 here. Hmm. Well, it's nice that they changed the icon, but not really the item itself. I'll get to the gameplay in just a moment. Just making my outfit here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, alrighty. I'm not gonna bother changing my AI teammates. So let's go in the shop, buy a few more things, and then we'll get on our way. Okay. Now that I have that, I'm gonna change a few things around with the customization. Nah, looks better with this. All right. Break camp. Get a move on. Gonna switch weapons here so I have an actual assault rifle. Oh, I bought one when I already have one. Okay. Well, then I can just use it for parts. Alrighty. I think I'll leave it on CTR. There we go. Now I got a pretty gun. Make the magazine baggy as well. There we go. Got a good looking gun. And I'm gonna run super stealth, so. Having said that, I'm probably gonna use this grenade launcher. It is for emergency incidents such as vehicles getting too close, I need to destroy them. I'm gonna test something here. They said they fixed the bolt carriers for various assault rifles. Let's see what they fixed. Oh wait, no, I gotta do this. Remove close and personal. Nope, they didn't fix it, so. At least not for the 5.16. Oh well. Good to know. Yeah, I'm gonna get my coffee here soon. Nope, don't go worry about them.
ID'd a sniper. Located a bad guy over there. Got a hostile position there.
Okay, get a move on here.
Hostile identified. Over there. That's it. All good.
Don't know what to talk about. Kind of at a loss for words. I could talk about this one thing, but I don't want to, considering it is not a positive subject, so I will keep that shit inside me and vent elsewhere. I won't bottle it up, mind you. My voice is already going, Jesus. Not stream for a few days and I lose my voice from not using it. So, we're off to go do the thing. Yeah, we're gonna clear this space, have some fun. Kill dudes in stealth. I started messing around with the bullet lure some more off stream. And it's actually quite fun to use. It's really fun to distract dudes and bring them close, set them up for an ambush. The random ass beetle on me. Like something is on my arm and it's moving.
Got company. Stay sharp.
And I really kind of like playing with the like all options on sort of thing. Which not all HUD options are on, just the ones I want for good casual fun. When I want to be immersed, that's when I you know, turn some stuff off. But I do also enjoy a good casual fun run, as I call it. Let's me be a little more creative in my stealth. Now I am really quite enjoying my my Afghan National Army Commando run. I'm having lots of fun with it. But I definitely wanted to show this stuff off, so maybe we'll play this for just a little bit and then switch. We'll see. Which, switch to the other character, not switch games.
Moving in on hostile. Roger. Moving to target. Don't blow it. Locked on the hostile.
Nice.
Rock and roll.
That was very fun. Barely see this guy. Oh, because there's just so happens to be a civilian. I almost shot that civilian. They look so much like the enemy there. I could only see the enemy's head, so I thought their bodies were kind of fucked. Which, he was just partially behind the shipping container. And the civilian was in front of him, so I almost went for body shots. And I would have clocked a civilian with it.
Can't get over how loaded Skelly's.
Ooh, that whip shot, though. Out of the way, civilian. I don't want to sniff your ass. Hey, you can't be here. Like, they couldn't have picked a more appropriate voice for nerdy ass, like Silicon Valley. Like, I'll go right here because I hear a train. Okay, it's going over there. Like, ultra rich, like, white kid who's like 35 but sounds like he's like 9 years old and with a speech impediment. Not belittling people who have speech impediments, by the way. It's just sometimes kids have a harder time talking when they're young, but turn out fine as adults. Which I don't know why I continue to cover my own ass. I feel like some people can read between the lines, but you know, maybe I think too highly of, you know, other people to think that, oh, they can obviously tell that I'm joking and not disparaging a group of people that, you know, suffer from some sort of condition that makes them, you know, speak different. I'm not doing that. I'm just making a joke about the more obvious, like, choice of voice acting that they could have had for these types of characters, which makes them both the most annoying NPCs in Ghost Recon, the most annoying civilians in Ghost Recon, while also the best, because they're so much fun to deride. I need the assault rifle for this one. No yelling. Use your inside voice.
Please, go away.
You go away. And this is what I'm talking. Oh, well, I guess I don't need to use the bullet lure. He's gonna come to me.
I'm gonna go after it.
Come on, Sticky Cover, work with me here.
Clean kill, Ghost.
Just a warning shot. Totally wasn't a miss.
Bullshit. No one's out here.
Nice shot.
Whoa, why am I moving so slow behind cover now? That was weird. That's new.
Ghosts just turned themselves in. Word from Freeport is that the mission hit some snags. The team is overpowered. How can that be? Huh? Whoa, look. Hey, you guys hear that sound?
Hold up, I'm gonna go see what's what.
Keep looking. Something's up. Jesus, nothing. I'll keep looking. Nothing yet. Not a damn thing. Hostile.
That's it.
Incredibly dumb AI.
Probably looted by now.
Looted and evacuated just like your skull. And your bowels. Can't forget those. Hey Oliver, how goes it? Sorry I missed your chat message. I was busy killing a few dudes. How goes it?
I just hear something up there? Yeah, might as well go take a look.
Why ya? We cut through the building. Or not.
There's a lot of talk going around about helicopter crashes. You heard anything?
Good, just chilling at home. How are you? I'm doing okay. Enjoying the new customization items, but supposing we'll have to wait for the new event on Thursday for the actual brand new content. So once I get done looting this base, we're going to switch back to our other character to play some more Special Forces by Country. But yeah, I'm doing good. Just I have far too much energy in me, but I'm gonna get coffee in me in just a bit. And I have far too much energy for how little I slept. Did they do a European flag patch? They gave several alternate patches for both European flags and I think it's United States flags. So there should be a like variant number 2 for several country flags. So like it'll be like England flag 2. Well, it would say UK flag, but you know, there might be like a United States flag 2 or German flag 2, stuff like that. So I didn't see it when I was in the store. Well, the shop, store and shop are different. But I really wasn't looking either, so I'll give it another look. But yeah. This main character, once I get 100% everything on this main character, I don't think I'm going to do another 100%. It's everything else is going to be on this character. Which will, of course, you know, it'll be changing looks and all that. But as you can see, I have the new PvP item. Well, it's not a new item, but it's new to the PvE aspect of the game. Because they were unlocked PvP items available to purchase in Maria's shop. Which I am happy about. But I'm sure it kind of makes the PvP players feel like their content, so to say, is even less valuable. Because you can get it without doing PvP. Which Ubisoft seems to be ignoring. Now, I would like the PvP stuff to get a little bit of focus so those people can be happy. But let's not kid ourselves here. Ghost Recon was and always will be a PvE focused game. In fact, a lot of people play this even solo. I would love to play co-op with people, just, you know. The people that want to play with me don't play on PlayStation, and Ubisoft hasn't implemented cross-platform yet. It's nice. Yeah. I got some stuff I wanted, like the Helicon CPU shirt, and I'm wearing the Helicon Text Grid fleece right now. And of course, they added a few more customization items. They added 2 new blueprints to Maria's shop. Weapon blueprints, that is. It's the Paladin 9 Sniper Survival and the SVD-63 Patchwork, which that was a PvP exclusive weapon blueprint. Which really, it's just an SVD-63 with a skin. Alright, did I get everything? I did. So let's go into our inventory. And yes, I am playing on tiered loot on this character because I want all the customization items that I wouldn't normally be able to get. I'm gonna swap this gun to khaki color. Then do that. They also added the extended mag for handguns, which is pretty cool. Okay. Well, before we log out, let's go ahead and look at the in-game store. So, let's look at body gear. They added the Ultimate Edition items for purchase, such as the Alice chest rig. Nothing really new here, other than the Alice chest rig. They added the Survivor bandana. And they added several Rainbow Six Siege characters, including Thermite, Mozzie, Twitch, Zofia, Hibana, Jaeger, and that's it. Any new tattoos? No, just the regular bundles. One melee weapon. Ah, the Ultralight TBE Primal. Weapon paints? No. See if they added any new cars. Nope. New aircrafts? Nope. New motorbikes? Nope. Okay, so see if they added any more. The 4AC Brown. Saw an available job a couple weeks ago from Ubisoft Sweden for an unannounced game. Guess it is the new Star Wars game. Cool. HGI Brown. Just seeing if they have any like new stuff. Oh yes, they did also add an M1911 Promise. Okay, so having said that, we're gonna log out and join up on our other character. I think I'm gonna get that Star Wars game as long as it's available for PS4 and as long as it's not total dog shit. Well, specifically total dog shit on PS4. And I'm gonna give it a while. And the thing is, it's probably not going to be out by 2023. So, you know, it probably won't be on PS4. And my PC probably wouldn't be able to run it very well. Maybe on like minimal settings. One thing that I hope in that Star Wars game that they're doing, the amount of applications after their announcement was skyrocketing. Cool. That's always cool to see. One thing I hope they don't do with the Star Wars open world game is make you play as a Jedi. I don't care. I'm definitely gonna pre-order that. Yeah, I'm not gonna pre-order it. I don't care what other people do with their money, but I'm not gonna pre-order it. I'll definitely consider getting it, but I'm gonna give it a good little bit after launch, just to see what it's like. Because the fact of it might being a buggy game at launch, that's fine, because you know, you need a new Star Wars game, yeah. If it's buggy at launch, that's just expected. You can't have a bug-free game at launch anymore. That's just how it is. And one thing I hope they let us do is choose how our character is. Like, I don't want to always be a Jedi. I don't always want to be a Sith. And I don't always want to be a smuggler. Like, let us kind of pick our race and character and like Give us options. Don't be the typical Ubisoft thing of giving us one option but the illusion of many. Anyways, I'm gonna go grab my coffee. I'll be right back, and we'll talk more. All right, see you in a few minutes. All right, and we're back. I have a lovely cat here, causing all sorts of disruptions. I've been saying this for months now. Make it a Skyrim type RDR2 type story open world. Yeah, that would be really nice. Like give us character choices. Like it could be like a Skyrim style kind of choose your class kind of like character builder. and or it could be where you pick a class, because all right, we're gonna continue on with this character, and hopefully the game doesn't bug out too much with us, because I want to do this mission a specific way. But the game each time doesn't want to let me do it, and I refuse to take the helicopter because not every special forces soldier knows how to pilot one of those things. It's almost like different countries have different types of training. And even countries that are just one country don't have every single special forces guy know how to be a pilot. Remy, you're gonna have to drink from your bowl. You were being naughty. That's the thing, though. Don't think it's gonna be that big unless it takes 5+ years. Well, Ubisoft is the kind of specialist in making big games in less than 5 years, but they're pretty bad at launch, but then okay like 2 years later. Hey, you, come here. Get out of the way. Come on. You're blocking the chat. Hey. Will you come here and behave? Hey, get some pets. Yeah. You will leave those wires alone. Leave it. Hey. Leave it alone. I'll not mind another breakpoint scenario, but that is only because of Star Wars. Leave it. You have to listen to me. Seems like you always disrupt the stream with your nonsense, but I'll give you pets. Pets I can do, but letting you chew on wires that I cannot let you do. Yeah, give you nice pets. Well, the thing is, I don't want another breakpoint scenario for a video game that I would potentially be excited for, because breakpoint almost broke me. It made me want to quit playing video games forever, because I was so hopelessly addicted to the Ghost Recon formula that I stuck with it. And now that it's actually pretty good, now I don't mind breakpoint. I actually enjoy playing it now, but Remington, come here and lay down. Come here. Come on. Lay down, Momo. I don't want to wait until next gen, until next gen until it launches. Well, PS4 lasted a long time. But hey, leave it. Behave. That you can do. You can scooch up next to that all you want, but you're not gonna mess with that. Should I give you belly rubs? That was what'll get you to calm down? Ooh, give you belly rubs. No, you're not gonna mess with the router. Leave it alone. You listen. Well, I would rather wait for a quality game, even if I don't have the console to play it on, than a horribly rushed game with horrible development and like I just watched a Cyberpunk 2077 video today, and it's like, yep, even games that aren't rushed can be even mismanaged horribly. So really what it comes down to is I'm moderately interested in the game. I'll wait however long it takes, but as soon as it's launched, I'm giving it a solid week or two so I can see what it's like. So I can see what it's like to see if it's like, oh, this is a terrible fucking video game. Good thing I didn't waste my money on it. Because the thing is, like, with Breakpoint launching the way it did, if I had listened to my gut and not my friend, I would not have picked up the game until, like, probably late last year. Because I played the alpha, I played the closed beta, and I played the open beta. Hey, Amomli, how goes it? Tend to give games a solid decade or two till I buy them. Yeah, they'll iron it out in about 11 years. Welcome in. We're enjoying some coffee. I'm gonna go ahead and do this here. But if I'd listened to my gut when Breakpoint launched, I would not have gotten it at launch. But I let my friend kind of twist my arm into buying it, and then the reasons he stated for him wanting me to buy it don't apply. Need not apply here. Because he doesn't play the game anymore. And he specifically avoided me so he could just beat the game. And then he joined up after he beat the game. Like, I should have just not bought the game. Now, like I said, I probably still would have bought Breakpoint, but I would have waited a long time. Even the first 6 months after release was fucking atrocious. Like, from December to, like, from the time it took for them to release the game to the immersive mode update, that's probably when I would have bought the game, is with the immersive mode update. Because that was the, I don't think I really understood the Breakpoint misery since I didn't get it until mid-2020. Sorry, I was hearing noises out in the hallway. Basically, it was super buggy. The mechanics themselves were not good. Stealth was relatively impossible due to drones that you could not turn off, which you can do now. Which does one good thing, especially when you're playing with friends, although by yourself it was a nightmare. Is I got it like 2 days after I followed you. Oh, I see. That's very cool. But like, it made running and gunning with friends very fun. But running and gunning by yourself, okay-ish. Sometimes leaning towards not so fun. And stealth was a nightmare. You just couldn't do it. So I ran exclusively like assault rifles and shotguns with no suppressors and just went around going ham. And even after the immersive update, there was still some things that I didn't like, such as the injury risk of often, where I would heal an injury and then take some health damage, and well, I gotta heal myself up and use a syringe, and then immediately or sometimes during the syringe animation I would get injured again, but it would not cancel out the animation, but it would cancel out the heal. Or in some cases I would be injured, go to heal the injury with a syringe, use the syringe, and mid syringe use I would get critically injured, and then I would just die. It's like, what can I even do anything? Which of course now the game is more fair towards the player, however it's quite easy. Two of my friends got it at launch and wanted me to get it as well, but I didn't feel like spending money on a game we didn't know anything about. They tried getting a refund like 3 hours upon buying it, and yeah. Yeah, like I said, I think I would have still bought Breakpoint, but considering my experiences with the alpha, the closed beta, and the open beta, I don't think I would have bought it at launch. Which is why, with the I'm just got my second mug of coffee here. Which is why, with the inevitable, or maybe even it won't happen, but let's just say for entertainment purposes that the next Ghost Recon is on its way. If the next Ghost Recon game was coming, I get access to the alpha, closed beta, and open beta, which of course open beta anyone gets access to, and I play them and it's really bad, then I'm not gonna let my friend like pressure me into buying it. I'm just not gonna buy it, not until it's quote unquote fixed. That's why I love when games have like an X-hour trial and you can decide if you actually like the game or if you just like the hype. Yeah, I think Xbox does something like that, which is like, it's just what every game company should do. Like, oh, you should be able to play the game for an hour. To be able to, and the trial version should be like just gameplay, no story. So you can get a feel for the gameplay, and if you're not having fun, well, don't spend money on it. Xbox Game Pass have a lot of 4 to 10 hour trials. Damn, that's a long time. 10 hours is a lot. Rami, are you being goofy? But I played Squadrons for 10 hours and never even bought it. That's pretty cool. Microsoft is being more consumer friendly than any other company as far as large game companies go. But yeah, I definitely don't want another Breakpoint scenario with any other game that I might be interested in, especially another Ghost Recon game. Demos are useful, but game companies stopped doing them because they want to trick people into buying garbage. Luckily, they have slowly been returning to doing demos in the last 2 years. Pretty much. Multiplayer was only available, which is understandable since you could probably get through the story in 10 hours. Yeah. Which is perfect for people like me, where I don't enjoy PvP in any video game. And, would probably only pick up a game for its story. Also, I've been burned on bad games with bad PvP. Battlefield 1, however, I did not buy that. It was gifted to me. But I still didn't like the PvP, the multiplayer. Just fucking awful. Felt like it was super imbalanced against new players. Because anyone with an iota of player level with a little bit of unlocks was like, yep, you're a god and I might as well be an infant. Or in the case of For Honor, where the servers were trash, where even if I could get online, the my preferred mode of play was dead after a while. And then the only way to practice was against input reading cheating computers, which wouldn't let you practice. So I'm like, fuck that game in its entirety. And just the overall level of my PvP skill going down over the years is enough to make me be like, yeah, I don't enjoy PvP, so I'm not going to partake. And that's fine. But yeah, the Battlefield 1 multiplayer felt so stupid. It'd be like, yep, can't find anyone on the whole map. Searching for another 5 minutes. Searching for anyone to kill on the map, another 5 minutes. Remember that time period when game companies just always did the opposite of what their customers wanted, even if it was bad for the company itself? You mean what they're doing now? Obviously, not all game companies. Ubisoft is certainly, bending the knee a lot to the player base, which is good. But no, it'd be like, I'd search the map for several minutes for anyone to kill. And then I see a guy way off in the distance, like, aha, I have nothing but iron sights, but surely I can get a kill since you're so far away. You can't possibly see me. Before I could even, pull the trigger, I would get killed from some guy behind me. That would happen a lot. EA still likes to do it, yeah. And then the other aspect of Battlefield 1 multiplayer would be, I would finally find someone close enough and in front of me enough that nobody else could interfere with my potential kill. But I'd put 10 body shots, a head shot, a leg shot into them with this shitty gun. But they would hit me a couple times with their thing they got at level 3 or something, and it'd be like, yep, I die even though I got a headshot and 10 body shots and several arm and leg shots, and threw a grenade at him that was just outside the range where it did minimal damage, and they still have 35 out of 100 health to kill me with. I'm like, this can't just be all me. This can't be my level of skill just being bad. I mean, my skill was bad, but it's it can't just be me. So I'm like, if PvP is gonna balance this so poorly, fuck it, might as well not even play. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind it's quick time to kill, the quick TTK, but it has to be balanced and into the core of the gameplay itself, not just because I have a shitty gun. Or someone's Ultra Sweat Lord level 500 Super Commander-in-Chief Nation Lord Overlord. What? Excuse me? Why can I not kill this person? Which is why I think I might even like Ground Branch's PvP. However, just most of the servers are empty anyways, just because it's in pre-alpha, and I guess they haven't released any new content yet. I guess they're going to. But no, that's a good title. Yeah, it's too long to fit anywhere. Too many characters. Remington, what are you doing besides sneezing? Is it the season for sneezing? Too much hot coffee in the mouth. Ooh, almost as good as Dickus. Yes, Dickus is great. Ooh, too hot a coffee to be taking that much in the mouth. That's what she say. Hi, Remington. Are you looking at me with your big, beautiful eyes? Your big, beautiful yellow eyes. No, on another note, I've deleted a few channels on my Discord because I wasn't really posting in them and they weren't really getting used. And I also deleted the self-promotion channel on the Discord because I would often see only 2 people using it. And one person doesn't necessarily chat, which is fine. But they would show up every once in a while. I'm like, yeah, he's a busy man. He's leading a family. You know, he was got a fairly busy job where he's not at home. But then I would see, you know, some other people in there and they'd post, but they would never interact with the Discord itself. They would never interact with my stream or come into chat or whatever. And I'm not necessarily on bad terms with that person. It's just I don't want to have self-promotion available when the people using it aren't really interacting with, you know, my channel or community. So it's like, well, I'm just going to remove it. I've even thought of just removing my Discord as a whole because it's not really getting used. But I decided to keep it for now. But yeah, starting to get a little worn thin on streaming. I've been doing this for almost 5 years and still only average out to about 2 people a stream, which is the actual average because, you know, you use the Twitch uses fractions and all that. And I average 2.1 viewers, which is way more than it used to be. It used to be like 0.7. But I don't know. I'm starting to get a little tired of not streaming. I enjoy streaming, but tired of streaming to relatively nobody. And I'm not streaming to nobody right now. We have Oliver and Momley, anyone else who might be here. Just most of the time I'm streaming to, you know, 0 to 1 viewers, and the 1 viewer might be a bot. So we're gonna go ahead and play the game now because I am all done with my coffee. Sorry that took a while. So let's jump into it. And we're just gonna go guns a-blazing because this is the 3rd time I'm attempting this mission. The first time, the game glitched out. Time to become a professional pen and paper RPG designer instead. You know, I've been thinking about changing the content on stream. Hi. To be something like, you know, a little more unique while still potentially bringing in viewers. So that way it's not just Ghost Recon Breakpoint is dead as balls, and I might get some people to watch me, but relatively no one new. Game is very loud all of a sudden. Like 10 times louder than it used to be. Did they reset my volume? Game is very, very, very loud. Let's just set this to like 45. Very fucking loud. Let me finish my thought here. Need to make a new D&D character. My old one didn't really make sense with the direction the campaign is going in. Let me finish my thought here. I thought about changing content of the stream to be a little more relevant, and also to be in line with what I still care about, which would also let me get my projects done without having to relegate my stream content, segregate that from the projects I want to get done. I could just do them on stream. And that includes pen and paper RPG designing, home brewing for D&D. Hi Remington, why don't you sleep on the blanket, you goof? Working on fantasy maps for said pen and paper RPG stuff. I'm just kind of tooling around with the ideas in my head for some new content on stream. I still want to do my Dynasty Warriors stuff. But yeah. Definitely sounds interesting. Yeah. I think it would bring in more people if I was in... Hi. I think it would bring in more people if I was in the Dungeons and Dragons category, or at least the tabletop RPG category. Or maybe even game development if it really counts as that. And fucked up from all sides here. Like how it hit the water and it, you know, made that splash. All right, we're gonna sit over here. Cause I really want to stream Ghost Recon, but it's not really helping with my growth. And in fact, I would say it kind of hampers my growth. And I would love to stream like constant playthrough after playthrough of, you know, Ghost Recon, where I'm doing these special forces by country, but it's just like, you know, how much can I do before it starts to just, you know, make me die out as a channel? Because it's not like Ghost Recon is really all that hot on Twitch. It's kind of got the same problem that Dynasty Warriors has on Twitch, where it just doesn't bring in viewers. Does great on YouTube, but which I am streaming to YouTube right now as well. But the problem with how well it does on YouTube versus how well it does on Twitch is YouTube, it does better in video form. Typically, I don't see a whole lot of Breakpoint streams on YouTube, and when I do, yes, hello YouTube. And when I do see Breakpoint streams on YouTube, they have 0 viewers. So it's like, that's just, it sucks that people can't just play what they want and get growth at the same time. Because there's like, you have to, you know, you have to do a fine line of hi. You have to do a fine line of you know, not playing the most popular shit, but also playing relevant games. Where Ghost Recon, even right now with this new update, is not very relevant on Twitch. I'll get him out later. Guess there are just games that are less interesting to watch to most people, yeah. And I've even thought of not even streaming Dynasty Warriors and just playing them off stream. And more or less doing that with all the games that I want to play, is just, you know, kind of switch to being a D&D streamer. Not really D&D specifically, just tabletop RPGs as a whole. Okay, I think I let these guys out. Yep, let's go back down to cell block B. But I think I gotta switch up the content to something fresh for the channel to potentially bring in more people, because I'm not super concerned with, oh man, I gotta reach 100 viewers by March or something. just throwing arbitrary numbers and dates out. You know, I gotta reach 100 viewers and get, you know, partner. And it's like, that's not necessarily the concern. The concern is not growing at all, and in fact losing growth, losing progress on my growth as a streamer, because my content is not necessarily fresh. Now, I would like to finish this playthrough on stream, but I think I might start tooling around with the idea of streaming D&D content, which may lead to shorter streams, but it might be more interactive. Oh, he's dead. Got a sneeze coming. And you know what? I think even streaming video games is a little too mainstream for someone as small as myself, where why would someone watch me play video games when there are like millions of other streamers playing video games, and you know, there's kind of no reason to watch me play. Can already see D&D fanatics complaining about you implying that D&D is not absolutely perfect, but I do really think you should try it. I definitely agree. I think I should try something other than Ghost Recon or Dynasty Warriors or Skyrim even. Skyrim would bring people in, and it has brought in a couple viewers, but... Alright, now I gotta start killing dudes, because, just a moment, I'll finish my thought. I had to kill that guy. Oh, he's not dead. Got him. Alright. So, I gotta try something other than video games, because clearly that's not working. I think video games are far too mainstream for someone like me, who I am very small as a streamer. That, oh, hello, Mr. Necro. Hope you're well. Despite the topic on discussion right now, I'm actually in a very good mood. But we're just talking about growth as a streamer, because I'm clearly not growing. And I'm thinking maybe I should just stream some D&D content instead, because I feel like that would bring in more people, allow me to stream for less time, and you know, still have an engaging and active chat. But you're right, Imamali. I think people will kind of you know, roll their eyes at how much I complain about D&D 5e, which I fully admit. D&D 5e is the best version of D&D, not because of the rules, but because of what it did to the hobby. Not that the hobby really needed revitalizing it, but it deserved it. It's not the hero it needed, it's the hero they deserve. And it brought in more people who never even touched D&D. It brought in more people who haven't played since like even 2nd edition sometimes. You know, it brought together both veterans and new players. And it's super hot right now. Super hot. That's a shame, but I can understand with all the changes you've tried with games and schedules. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to stick to my schedule of, you know, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. But I think I need to change my content as well. Oh, poor tree. It got bloated up. Wait. I'm even thinking about switching to D&D right now. And the thing is, I'll still be, you know, playing video games, just maybe not on stream all the time. Oh, just sneezed and my nostrils are all stuffed up now. What am I doing? What am I looking for? Oh, that's right. This is what I'm looking for. Looking for Raketo launches. Also, I just saw you in the bubbly drink. Is it fish tank mode today? It's a bubbly drink mode today. And I'm thinking I might drop the bubbly drink kind of shtick. So that way when I have a little bit more of the design D&D streams that I will, you know, have my face shown to everybody. A little bit of bubbly for the champion. I am indeed, the quote from Dynasty Warriors 3, where is these guys that they're shooting at? The quote from Dynasty Warriors 3, when you beat a story mode, is one of the quotes is unequal in strategy, unbeatable in battle. I'm without equal in strategy and unbeatable in battle, except when I am beatable, then I am. Where are these fucking assholes, mate? Also, there's a bit of problem with sticky cover now, because as you can see, you know, when I get close to a wall, my guy kind of leans into it. That sticky cover, it magnetizes me to the wall. Which, when I got used to it, it's actually quite useful. But now, sometimes when I get stuck, I like move slower, and sometimes I don't move at all. Like right then I was moving slower, which they were supposed to fix, that you would have the option to move slower by using a controller, but it just seems as though sticky cover is now making the character slower in some instances, which kind of sucks. Sometimes I need to fast crouch walk away when I can't necessarily, because the sticky cover is like really magnetizing me to the wall with like a glue. All right, now that we're on orange level alert, I'm gonna go get Daigoro. And then I think once this mission is complete, we're gonna switch to D&D. I would love to keep streaming Ghost Recon, but unfortunately, it's not really letting me grow. Now, like I said, I would love to continue to stream this game and, you know, do all these different ideas I had, and, you know, but it's just not working.
You, hero?
Oh, man.
What are you saying?
Makes drones. Like the ones flying all over.
I'm just going to skip through this.
Let's get to a safe house.
And I'm going to take the chopper this time. I'm not going to try to be immersive.
Nomad. Yours.
Degoro Ito.
The hell are you doing in the most technologically advanced place on Earth if you don't like technology?
I'm not a Luddite, man. I'm just opposed to transhumanism.
When a person becomes more than human, right?
Itch my nose.
Our motto, or
Still say when the crossplay goes live in the future that I have you as my in-game ghosty tutor? Yes.
had a common ancestor
However, I might do that more
to extinct
off-stream and not on-stream. But I would definitely love to play with my, you know, community members in various video games. Just probably won't do it on stream because I'm thinking I need a change of content to really freshen things up. And who knows, maybe it'll freshen things up short enough where I can bring back video games. But you know, for now I think I gotta do something else. 'Cause it's not working, Chief. Oh, the helicopter's all smoked up, but you know, it's still working, so oh, goddamn. Ugh. Oh, I want in the driver's seat. Wait for my AI teammates. That, and if I played with my community members off stream, might allow us to have more personal conversations where someone might not want to disclose something publicly because of, you know, I don't know, whatever. All right, we got to figure out where we got to go. So I'm just gonna turn some stuff on / off. Put it on guided and turn on objective markers. There we go. Talk about pretty much everything that's on your mind in this chat. Yeah. Yeah. Just that, I know some people... It's kind of like when I was approaching Shiny Breeze D&D the other day. Or D&D Discord channel, I should say. I kind of cut that off there mid-brain wave. It's like, you know, she asked if we wanted to do video or voice chat for a potential new campaign that I'm kind of pining for. But I'm like, video or voice. People, I don't care if people share their face or not, because some people may not want to. You're a master moddy person. You can say what you like. Yes. Oh my god, I can actually breathe now. I am the law. Yeah, we're gonna switch to D&D here. Oh, wait, what? Oh. We'll finish the mission and close up the Ghost Recon Breakpoint stream for the day. And then, we'll do some D&D talking and stuff.
What do you want?
Let's skip all this. And resolve.
Take it easy. I'll hand.
Back to the D&D character that you mentioned. Okay. What do you got plans for? Disrespect the law and you disrespect me. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and switch categories, which I have to do that both in YouTube and Twitch. Okay, turn off the game here. And I think I would love to stream a new event that's coming on Thursday, but I think I'm just gonna, you know, go without. Let's go ahead and get rid of the bubbles and the soda. Let's see, turn that off and turn that off. Now y'all can see me in my mustachy glory. Basically, the campaign was going in a direction where the group was leaving the Underdark, while your character actually wanted to go deeper in to hunt a monster. Gotcha. Come on, pop, finger pop. Guess it doesn't want to pop. All right, switch over to D&D. Dungeons and Dragons. D&D Talk, chill, stream. Then change it on YouTube as well. Bleh. I don't suppose. Maybe it's in people and blogs? Sure. Goddamn. Feels like I can barely breathe sometimes. Alright. Moving on over. Back over here. Alright. So, if I bring up... I'll bring up my world map that I'm currently working on in Photoshop. We're not going to work on the map. We're just going to bring up the map so you have something to look at. All right. File, open. I don't know if it's 02 or if... Yeah, it's not 02. It's the other one. Maybe he'll return later because the DM said that he will go back to the Underdark after a fairly short time, but for now, I need to make a new character. I'll make the next character that new Wildfire Druid. Very nice. Alright. Bring up the screen here in just a bit. Get the map relatively full screen. There we go. See if I can F11 it. Nope, that's OBS. See if I can F11 Photoshop. Nope. Alright. So, DnD. I'm going to open up a series of things so I can look at the rules that we can talk about. But, you know, star menu on the top. You rebel, you. Star menu? I don't see. Oh, I see. Start menu on top. The reason it's up there is because the cat, when he lays down, is far taller than the bottom of my screen. So when he's blocking the bottom of the screen, when I can't see the icons, it makes using the computer, understandably so, a little difficult. So I have to put it on top so I can actually see. Which right now, he's not blocking the bottom of the screen because he's kind of off to the side. Remy, let me fix your tail. There you go, buddy. Let's go ahead and bring up, like, the player's handbook. So what kind of stuff do we want to talk about for D&D? I suppose I can talk about the new D&D campaign I want to start. I had to put my current one on hiatus because I have a lot of baggage with the writing processes I had, and to where like I wasn't enjoying writing for the campaign. I was enjoying playing it, and my players were like a group of good guys, but I just didn't want to write for it anymore. And I started getting burnt out on it, and it's like, I think it's just because I know my own creative limits. I was confused what intelligence and wisdom actually are in D&D. It always feels like intelligence is supposed to be knowledge, which of course has nothing to do with actual intelligence, while wisdom is more like an intuitive understanding of things, which is actually pretty close to the real life definition of intelligence. Well, that's just it, is I feel like there's an unnecessary division of core attributes that D&D has when it comes to, because the way that this, of course I'm speaking to people who already know, but the way no understanding or knowledge of D&D, so we will just sit and watch and listen. Okay. Like the 6 main ability scores work like this. They work for your attacks, your basic defenses, and your skills and saving throws. Saving throws being one of your level of defenses. And when it comes to saving throws, honestly, the player should just be able to choose. Now, they have to justify or legitimize their choice of saving throw, you know, say you get hit with like a feeble mind spell, you know, they have to try to justify and legitimize their choice of saving throw usage. But they should be able to be like, yeah, my body is so tough that the magic can't even penetrate my physical essence, let alone, you know, deal with my mind. Well, that'd probably be more constitution, really, but you know what I mean. Where skills, I feel like, should also be, you know, let the player choose. Leave it. Leave it. Don't you be chuffing. Leave it. Leave it. You're being very naughty. I'm not going to have my stream cut out because you want to chew on the router's cables. You butt nut. Come here. I give you nice pets now, okay? Come here. So, like, you know, climbing checks are almost all in 5th edition, at least, and to a lesser extent 3.5. But 3.5 had like 10 times as many skills because, you know, excuse me, some things are actually different and not homogenized. It seems to be difficult to realize as a balanced game system. The thing is, D&D isn't balanced, especially 5e. But like climbing, like you can't just be strong and like I'm good at climbing. It's like you actually kind of have to know how to climb stuff. Like if you're trying to climb up a rock wall without any you know, equipment and very little knowledge of how to actually rock climb, you're probably not going to get very far. So you should be able to do like intelligence, like, or in D&D's case of classification, probably wisdom, and you know, things like charisma for things like, for example, rock climbing. That's where it's like, okay, you might be able to legitimize it, but it's going to be hard. You might say that they're good at, you know, doing tricks and performing, you know, feats of stunning athleticism to show off, you know, then it'd be like, sure, use charisma. Which is why I think, you know, 5th edition should just allow for more player freedom, where instead of making someone feel useless, where, oh, I'm the mage, I can't climb good, so I'm gonna need someone to tie a rope to me and then pull me up. Which, in 5th edition, there's no rule saying that, oh, you're trying to pick up, you know, someone who's 100 pounds, and even though your strength is quite high, it's still, you know, a trouble. I mean, the DM can say, hey, make an athletics check to try and pull them up the rope. But there's nothing in the rules saying that that's a rule, where, you know, I feel like a lot of 5th edition it's DM judgment calls, where it should really be, hey, let's have a structural base so DMs know what the fuck they're doing. That's why I like the Dark Eye system, where 3 attributes go into everything, into your actual skill. Climbing is bravery, agility, strength, and your actual climbing skill. Nice. We're like, and then another thing I have a problem with D&D 5th edition and it's less of a 5th edition thing and more of just a D&D thing, is the rabid fanaticism for D&D, where it's like someone's like, hey, how do I work this into a rule where it's a little more complex? And the typical response that I see is, D&D's not built like that. Play any other game. There's literally hundreds of other pen and paper RPGs. They don't bother to list any. And then they say, oh, the DM just has to write the rule, instead of just when someone's like, hey, why isn't there a rule for this? The typical deflection in defense of D&D 5th edition is, oh, the DM's just supposed to fix that. It's like, why can't we just have an actual rule for that? You know, whatever that, quote unquote, is. Like, come on, like, quit defending D&D like it's, you know, like you're a knight in shining armor and it's the milady princess. And don't get me wrong, I think D&D 5th edition is great, you know, especially what it's done to the hobby, but damn, are a lot of the D&D communities so defensible when it comes to D&D. One good thing about it that is that since bravery goes into it, a failed climbing check doesn't damage you necessarily. Maybe you were just scared to climb a cliff, which is especially important since Dark Eye doesn't have 5 million health points for each character. Only a critical failure would hurt you. And that's another thing is 5th edition, and not just 5th edition, because D&D 3.5 had this as well, where the game was like, oh, if you fail, then you just fall. Okay, you fall, you're dead. Where it's not exactly like that in 3.5, where it's like, you fall, you die because you failed. It's usually because you failed by 5 or more points, therefore you lose your grip and fall. Which 5 is still not a whole lot, so you could fail it by just a little bit and then just fall to your death. Where in 5th edition, there's no rules saying, oh, you're trying to swim up a river, your speed is reduced by this much, but it's also half this, but we're not going to explain it very well, so you kind of have to do the math yourself, which is not very good because it's not worded right. Also, the rule for finding out how to drown is not how to drown, but you know, like if you're trying to not drown and you need a rule for it, that's going to be hard to find. No, there's very little situations where I feel like the environment, and this is mostly a DM thing, you know, the DM needing some work to do. I've seen a lot of campaigns where the environment isn't very well used, where it's like, oh, you're adventuring, but you come across a river that's raging and there's no way across, but there's a tree on top of a cliff, but you know, you don't know how to get across, and you know, you could try swimming. Like, I don't see a whole lot of that. I see a lot of intriguing storyline and combat, but not a whole lot of actual adventuring. Like, and even when it comes to combat, I see more story than combat, which is okay. That's totally okay. There doesn't need to be shitloads of 3-hour-long combat turns, but you know, and this is one thing I find in practice does not work, even though plenty of people say, oh, we can't have more complex combat because you need to throw 6 to 8 combat encounters throughout the day at them, and the DM's just supposed to do that. It's like, and the rulebook says that too, that a average partying adventuring party can handle up to 6 to 8 medium to hard level encounters. You know, with more easy ones you add more encounters, and with deadly ones you add less. And it's just like, I'll be lucky if there's a combat situation once a day. You know, in practice, combat isn't very good in the way 5th edition is, because either either, you know, a single combat round is enough to be like, man, we don't want to do combat again for the rest of the day, because it also doesn't really work with in-world immersion, where it's like, yep, we travel for an hour, random encounter, okay, you fight dudes, okay, we travel for an hour, okay, you fight more, okay, travel for an hour, okay, there's more guys. It's like from a DM perspective. Also, a problem is that D&D is a very combat-based system. It doesn't really encourage doing other stuff. Yeah. Like, I was playing, there were several sessions with my online group that I had to put on hiatus, where they made jokes, you know, just kind of making light of the situation that they had to fight monsters. You know, that, man, there's a lot of, like, monster problems here. Maybe we should tell someone about that. Like, when they had to fight one monster, like, every 3 days. And the fact that there was an adult blue dragon flying over a lake that they only ever fought once. They killed it, but that's another issue I have, is monsters are extremely neutered, but we'll get into that later. And I feel for how much people rely on the quote-unquote rules in 5th edition, the rules aren't very good. And the process of portraying the rules in the rule books are not very good either. Drink water. I shall, Mr. Bot. Where, like, the DM's guide for 5th edition is horribly organized. Like, I know that they have things in the book, the DM's guide, about siege weapons, but I don't know where to find it, and I don't know what's in front of those rules and what's behind those rules, as far as, like, where in the actual book, like, before the book, those pages of those siege weapons, and after those pages in the siege weapons. I also don't know where poisons are in the DM's guide. I don't know where diseases are. Finding out how to create a spell / magic item is extremely hard to find, and it's not very good. And yeah, spell casting, while still very strong in 5th edition, unbalanced so, got neutered from 3.5 to 5th edition. Monsters got neutered horribly in 5th edition. Like, if you look at the stats with context of knowing how the rules work in 3.5 for the Tarask, which is like the, you know, once in a blue moon, like, Godzilla character, and then you look at the stats with context of how the rules work in 5th edition of the Tarask, it's like the Tarask in 5th edition doesn't hold a fucking candle to the one in 3.5. And in fact, I ran a one-shot where my players were gonna fight Tarask, and my players got 3 magic items each. They were level 20, and they got the option of 1 legendary item and just whatever of the other ones, as long as they weren't legendary or artifacts. And typically in 5th edition, from what I've seen of various gameplay, is players typically have way more than 3 magic items by the time they reach end game, so to say. But my players killed the Tarask without really experiencing much of a challenge, and we actually did it in 2 hours when we normally run for 4 more hours. And I'm like, sorry guys, I got no more content. That was it. So we were just hanging out for the rest of the time, and, you know, around the 3-hour mark, everyone went home. And I don't think combat needs to be, like, in your face, like you're gonna die and have to roll up a new character and, you know, approach every situation like a SWAT team. Not at all. But at the same time, combat kind of sucks in 5th edition. Like, it's not very good. For a system that depends on combat so much, its combat is awful. But the upside of 5th edition is it encouraged people to write better stories, usually with the influence of watching Critical Role. considering how good of a DM Matt Mercer is and how good of a story writer he is, considering he was a D&D fan like for a long time, even before Critical Role was a thing. So Critical Role and 5th edition combined like created a perfect storm of, bringing a shitload of people into the hobby, which is great. I think 5th edition is great for that. The fact that it made D&D more or less mainstream to where celebrities who had to be like crypto gamers and, have their DM's guide be the skeleton in their closet, quite literally so, putting their books in a closet so no one can see them. Several celebrities come out of the proverbial D&D closet and yeah, I play D&D, when they wouldn't dare say that before because of various reasons. So 5th edition really just kind of helped, bring in a fresh audience of, new players and DMs. But I feel like D&D 5th edition does a disservice to DMs when DMs have a lot of rule making to do, where they have to make a call on a rule that's not very defined or just not there at all. And then new DMs, like when they don't know like how to play D&D, they just like no one else was going to DM, so they stepped up to the plate. They can't necessarily make those calls because they don't know how to do it, and the book doesn't tell them. And I honestly feel like Xanathar's Guide to Everything, as good as that book is, it's obvious that it's Dungeon Master's Guide DLC. It's a Dungeon Master's Guide microtransaction. It feels like they deliberately left things out of the Dungeon Master's Guide, and then when they were going to release Xanathar's Guide to Everything, they were just like, here's all the stuff that should have been in the Dungeon Master's Guide. Now, this is a more personal preference of D&D, but I'm honestly completely over the idea of racial traits, classes, levels, hit points, and bonuses for things like skills when it feels like it doesn't even matter. Now, that's more of a personal preference thing where it's going to delve more into making my own RPG versus, trying to fix D&D. Where I'm not a big fan of hit points. I think hit points are fine as long as you don't have, like, I got 100 hit points by level 5 or some shit. And I want races in D&D to feel like something special, not just, oh, it gives me a +2 to dexterity, and I get dark vision, and I get this other ability that's circumstantial. I'm literally only choosing the race for the rules because it gives me these mechanics instead of, well, the DM said that this race works this way in the world. I like that idea, so I personally am a fan of dwarves, and so I'm gonna play a dwarf in the campaign because I like how they're being portrayed in the world. I just like fantasy dwarves in general. Not me, I'm giving you an example. And the Dwarven kingdoms, suffered a great loss to the Goblin Underdark. So they came out of the mountains and developed into the hills, and slowly they started to change in their physiology. It's like that's interesting. Instead of just that plus, oh, they're resistant to poison damage. Okay, but so someone who wants to be resistant to poison damage is going to pick that race because they want that mechanic, and not just because the race is interesting and built into the world in such a way that is immersive. And one thing that I'm so sick and tired of seeing on the internet, that I used to actually quite enjoy doing, but I'm sick and tired of seeing it all the time, is like, bro, check out this class combo in D&D 5th edition. If you do it, you get like 200 AC and 500 hit points, and you do 2,000 damage by level 3. It's like, usually when I see that kind of stuff, it's either extremely situational, like even more so than multiclassing and multiclass options in 3.5, to where it might happen once in a campaign where the setup to that is so involved that you're going to bore all the other players while you get that set up. It involves a shitload of multiclassing, and usually using either playtest material or a homebrew material, which also the homebrew material in 5th edition, while easier to create, is also most often not well made. Back to the theory crafting that people do with 5th edition. It's honestly, and I don't necessarily like using this word because I think it's overused and used in kind of a dumb way, but I find theory crafting in 5th edition just cringy. It's like, do you have nothing better to do than say, I'm going to get these mechanics and get them all to work together in this very situational thing that lets me have a billion numbers? Because that's more interesting than a good backstory and a character's personality, is the way in which they work that might happen once. And if it doesn't happen, then the character's probably fucked. Man, is it bad that I see that stuff. I hate it. And granted, this isn't necessarily a 5th edition problem, because it did happen a lot in 3.5 and perhaps in 2nd edition as well. But D&D kind of encourages that with how it works. Yeah, and that's why I'm not super in love with D&D mechanics anymore. Now, it's like I said, it's not necessarily a 5th edition problem, because you had that a lot in 3.5, especially with how many rule books there were and how many different class combinations you had. But I feel like people are more enthusiastic about the character build, like it's a video game, with how the mechanics work and all the class combos, and if they took a feat in this and got this specific magic item, instead of actually going on an adventure as a interesting character with other interesting characters that your character gets along well with, and not just because, man, and I'm just as guilty of this too, man, I'm going to play this character because it lets me have a power fantasy, and I get to do these cool things, and it makes me look cool because that's my character, is me. You know, Dark Eye recently introduced a new dwarf culture that lives right above the magma, kilometers deep underground, which is pretty cool. That does sound pretty cool. Reminds me of the Azers from D&D, which are like elemental fire plane, essentially dwarves, but they're more made out of brass and bronze, and have all that. But I feel like people, more so in 5th edition, with how prevalent the internet is with supplying people with theory crafting and quote-unquote builds, is playing a power fantasy mechanical video game-ish tabletop RPG instead of actually experiencing a good story with friends and having fun. They just want to be powerful, and they want to be like, I got all this +5 shit here. And like I said, it's not necessarily a 5th edition problem. And I would argue it's more of a advanced social media portrayal of Dungeons and Dragons problem, where, you have these short little 1-minute TikTok videos of people like, here's a new homebrew D&D subclass for a class, where it doesn't make sense for that class to have that subclass. It doesn't really fit in a typical D&D campaign, and it's just silly. Like, I saw one which I was actually intrigued by how it works, because it didn't sound OP, and it was actually kind of funny to watch. But there was one where it was a anime protagonist for the barbarian class when it's like, barbarian? That's a weird choice. And the fact that it was just kind of making a silly meme, it's like, this isn't really all that funny. I found it a little amusing just considering it wasn't really an OP subclass, and, you know, just making fun of anime protagonists since they are just generally bad. But it was very much here's a silly little homebrew I made for a meme, lol. Instead of like, oh, here's a homebrew that's actually well made, well thought out, is immersive, fits the class that it's for, and can typically be used in any campaign because it works. And that's another issue I'm getting into. However, I'm seeing less of this issue these days. But 5th edition is simultaneously the easiest edition to make homebrew for, judging from my own personal experience. And it's not that hard to balance. It's very easy to balance. You know, homebrew in 5th edition. But a lot of homebrew from what I've seen, now, like I said, it's not so much a thing these days, but for a while it was, of horribly unbalanced homebrew to where it'd usually be like a subclass or a race. And it would be like, you know, check out this super cool like fox kitsune half wolf demon race that's got like 20 different racial features and a +10 to dex because that makes sense for the race. And it's like, that's a bit overpowered. And then there's the alternate unbalanced effect. Hi, Remy. Are you just on top of the bookshelf because you want to be on top of the bookshelf? Yeah, you should take a nap up there. Sorry, I got a little distracted. Where there's the alternate level of unbalance where it's very obvious that the homebrew creator did not want to make something overpowered because they get called out on it and that they would have to redesign it. So they specifically make it underpowered to where the only reason someone would play that subclass, or in some cases, you know, a homebrew class entirely, is because they like the theme of it, which is more appropriate than actual mechanics. But mechanically, it's horribly underpowered. Like, there would be no mechanical reason to play this class because all the other classes and subclasses are far superior to where the player who's playing that homebrew class / subclass would not have as much fun as they thought they were because everyone's miles above them. Now, I'm going to touch on hit points again. I feel like hit points can be done well if you don't have a lot of them, but you make the effects of damage, receiving damage, healing, and potential character death a little more interesting and complex, and not just you reach 0 hit points so you're dying. It should be, you know, you know, and in fact, I would argue that damage in 5th edition, not even 5th edition, damage in D&D, like, in my ideal version, damage would be very low because the hit points would be very low. Healing would be a little more generous, but also offer options for healing that is not magical and not just, oh, I took a feat at level 4 that lets me heal a very small amount of hit points with a healer's kit that nobody buys because there's almost always at least one form of a healer in the party. Having said that, my main baby campaign that I started 5th edition with has no healer classes in the party, but you know, everyone can just buy healing potions. Or one of my characters, I actually kind of have to, one of my players, I kind of have to, like, because of his backstory, despite him being not a big fan of writing backstories and not very good at writing them, his backstory is actually really cool with that character even though the rules don't explicitly state that he should be able to make healing potions, but because of his character backstory and what he was when the campaign actually started, I'm just going to let him make healing potions. Granted, it's going to be a little harder than just he makes it, but no, I feel like healing in 5th edition, or healing in a tabletop RPG, should be magical healing, should be a little stronger than normal healing, but there has to be an option that's viable for normal healing while still being immersive. But that's where I would make dying also a little more complex, where it would still have the you have a chance sort of function, just like D&D 5th edition does, where you have 3 tries with death saving throws to see if you actually die. However, the death saving throws in 5th edition are simply just a DC 10, and you don't really add any bonuses to it. It's just dice roll DC 10. Very simple. Great for getting new players to understand how it works. Not so great when you have someone who wants a little more intricate health management system. In Dark Eye, magical healing still takes multiple minutes, so you can't really do it during a fight. That actually is kind of cool. And the thing of hit points and all that is, it should not be, I have 100 hit points and I'm not wearing armor, so you have to stab me multiple times in the chest, doing like anywhere from 5 to 10 damage per hit throughout several combat rounds before I even have to think about receiving healing, which the cleric and the druid and the paladin all have healing options. So even though I get a little low, a little bit, not too worried there, that they can just bring me back to full at any point for relatively no cost, as many times as they want. It's just, I find it so hard to suspend my disbelief when it is so ridiculous. When I am more of a fan of realism and immersion, not realism in the sense of it has to be so realistic that it's unrealistic, and not just using the term realism just as a catch-all, but believable realism and immersion over power fantasy. Because even playing just a little bit in a 5th edition campaign that my one friend was running before he put that on hiatus because one of my other friends kind of fucked it up for him, I'm glad that I'm a higher level than everybody else because I was the only one who survived a combat encounter, so I received all the XP. But I'm also not enjoying it because no combat scenario is really all that challenging. My character himself, while being an Eldritch Knight, has kind of no reason to mix his martial class abilities with spell casting, to where if he casts a spell in a combat encounter, he's probably going to cast spells for the rest of the encounter, and his spell casting is very limited, considering he's an Eldritch Knight and not necessarily even a half caster. He's a quarter caster, and I feel like I almost never run out of spells, during a single combat encounter, even ones that are a little more challenging, than the modicum difficulty that others tend to be. And if I'm using martial abilities, I almost never cast spells because it's not convenient to do so. So it's like, well, either I could sit here and do shitloads of damage with my weapons, or I can spend my turn to disengage and run away, so then I can wait until my next turn to cast a spell to help fight against them. Oh, the enemy's dead, so I guess it doesn't matter. So much for all that, huh? Mixing spell casting and sword fighting. Meanwhile, because he has 2 swords now, one of which is his father's sword, which is what he started with, and then a brand new sword, which is magical, but seemingly very similar to his father's sword for story reasons. So he's using both. So I took the dual wielder feat that allows me to dual wield long swords. A little silly, but you know, it's fun. So there's relatively no reason for me to cast spells if I can just run up action surge, 2 attacks per action, and dual wielding, so an extra bonus action for 5 attacks. And well, I just killed it. No reason for combat for anyone else to do anything in combat. You know, it's really, it kind of takes away from the experience even as a player when I should be enjoying the power fantasy. And if the power fantasy was actually enjoyable, then I wouldn't mind being strong and powerful. But even in video games, I find as long as the challenge is acceptable and not the game is cheating, in video games, I often find that I prefer a little more of a challenge because I don't enjoy the power fantasy. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It depends on my mood. But, you know, in Skyrim, I have it set up where it doesn't take me very much and I'm dead. And that's not with playing on Legendary. That's just, well, I have Wildcat installed, so I take more damage. And I do a little more damage, but I take way more damage. So it makes combat a little more interesting where, oh, I actually have to block enemy attacks. And if it's 2 or 3 on 1, me being the one, it's like an, oh shit, I have to be careful, otherwise I'm going to get surrounded and skull fucked. You know, it makes it a little more engaging is the right word, because it's like, oh, I actually have to care about getting in a, you know, confrontation with enemies, especially since whatever mod I had installed was setting up bandits in a really fun way where they would ambush me on the road. So I thought, what the hell? The game's spawning these guys in, not giving me a chance. So I thought, like, on the 3rd death, I was like, okay, we're going to try something different. So I went off to the side around to the rocks to try and sneak around, but then something caught my eye. I saw the bandits hiding behind the rocks, looking towards the road, both on one end. One was like off to my right, but on the left side of the road. And then across from where they were, I could see the second bandit, who was on the other right side of the road, looking left towards the middle of the road. And in the middle of the road, there was a cart with a dead citizen. And then there was a third spellcaster bandit somewhere that I couldn't see until I engaged in combat and they came out, who would cast, you know, raise zombie or whatever on the dead corpse. So then all of a sudden I had 4 combat engagements, you know, if I were to get in open combat without being a little clever. So I thought, holy shit, this is actually really cool. The bandits are set up in sort of an immersive way. They're just waiting for people to go down the road so then they can cast raise zombie on the corpse. I don't know if that's the name of the spell, but it's just what I'm naming it for now. And then the zombie can distract the person while they're, you know, like, holy shit, necromancy. And then the bandits swoop in, kill them, take their stuff, leave their body in a ditch. It's actually really fucking cool. It's like, holy shit, these bandits are actually like ambushing people. This is actually immersive. And it's engaging because it's difficult. So I actually have to think and be careful and have strategy instead of just, I walk up to it and I roll a d20. 15, I hit. Okay, 6 damage. Okay, next turn. 5 turns later. Okay, I roll d20. I hit. Okay, I do damage. It's a very boring. Very boring. It's not as simple as that, you know, in reality, but it's not exactly more engaging than that either. When, you know, for a singular player who might be a fighter or, you know, other martial class, where even in the case of my Eldritch Knight, sometimes my dual wielding is more optimal than casting a spell. Even my self-preservation spells, such as, you know, I have False Life because I took the Magic Initiate feat so that I would have a few extra spells that weren't necessarily limited by the Eldritch Knight subclass. because the Eldritch Knight subclass at early levels, because you can choose at later levels, is limited to all abjuration, which is like defense magic, and evocation, which is like the typical elemental destruction magic. Not always, but most of the time. And in fact, a lot of the healing spells in 5th edition aren't necromancy, they are typically evocation. Having said that, I took the magic initiate feat so I could have a necromancy spell, since that's what my character went to the mage university to go learn, because he actually was starting to actually get somewhere with necromancy. And so he took the magic initiate feat so he would learn false life and a few other spells that were not just abjuration and evocation. So in a lot of the situations, because, well, I'm a fighter, I have decent hit points, and even in the case of, my armor class not being outstanding, I'm still wearing heavy armor, so my armor class is very good. And actually, I think with the dual wielder feat, if I'm fighting with 2 weapons, I get a +1 bonus to my AC, armor class that is, my defense. So if I'm dual wielding, I'm better protected. I tend to have a higher damage output. And because I'm dual wielding, I can't necessarily, supply these somatic components for spells. Even in the case where I just have to cast False Life once, and then it's active for a little bit, and then because the Eldritch Knight gets the ability to summon up to 3 weapons, 3 weapons can be set to be summonable, and as a bonus action I can summon them to my hands. It's very much a case of, even when I have a sword in one hand, a spell in the other, and I could just, okay, spells cast, bonus action to summon the sword in the other hand. Can I share a bit of homebrew? Sure, go ahead and join the Discord and share it there. Just post it in general chat. But there's really no reason for me to go, okay, only gonna draw 1 sword, cast False Life, pull out the other sword, and start hacking away. There's really no reason for me to do that, because I just cut out the middleman and, well, I run up to the enemy, pull out both my swords magically, and start hacking away. And typically the enemy can't really stand up to that. It's because combat is not very engaging, other than just I do lots of damage, so the enemy is dead. We win all the time. Yay, no more challenges for us. And we've even had boss encounters. One boss encounter in that campaign where the boss wasn't really much of a challenge. Now, there was an encounter where, because the DM is actually smart, and set it up in a way where the enemies were moderately difficult, and we had bad dice rolls, and there was actually like shit we had to worry about, like protecting civilians and making sure the town didn't get destroyed, where that's why I'm level 5 and almost level 6. It's in there. Okay, I'll take a look at that soon. And everyone else is like level 3, level 4, because everyone technically died. I only went unconscious and was nursed back to health, and the DM, made a judgment call of, okay, I'm going to roll a couple times to see if this is going to be a TPK, because he was going to be like, okay, the NPCs who are actually helping defend the town, I'll just roll and do some random numbers to see if they succeed. And turns out the NPCs were able to stop the threat. I don't even remember what it was. And I was nursed back to health, and one of the NPCs that we actually kind of got a bond with, they actually cast some sort of old magic that sucked his life force away, making him age by a lot. We're talking like, he's an elf, so he aged by something like 100 years or so. He basically went from the Aurora, oh nice, to where it's like he was like, full adult elf, and went to like really old elf. The crackening. to where he used that old magic to bring everyone else back alive, like I said, at the cost of his life force. For my settings, so sorry if the lore confuses you. Okay, well, let's take a look at it. Warlock patron. That actually is kind of interesting sounding. That's just an image. Okay, let's see. Lingering over the frost flame north lies a powerful arcane aurora that can bestow power onto others. This aurora seeks to purify the broken heartlands and creates numerous warlocks to send the war-torn wastes in order to cleanse it. The aurora only chooses warlocks it sees as the good-intentioned, although it makes mistakes occasionally. The aurora expanded spell list, first level. Color Spray, Ice Knife, Lesser Restoration, Scorching Ray, Daylight, Fireball, Fire Shield, Wall of Fire, Cone of Cold, and Greater Restoration. That's a decent spell selection. First level, you learn the Light and Frostbite cantrips. They count as Warlock spells for you, but don't count against the number of spells you know. Cool. Frost Flame spells. Starting when you choose this patron at first level, when you cast a spell that deals cold or fire damage, you can choose to convert the damage dealt into the other damage type. Pretty cliche, but that's pretty cool. Kind of fits I'm guessing, the theme of the subclass. Cleansing Arcana. When you successfully remove a condition from a creature using a spell, they regain a number of hit points equal to your Warlock level. That's pretty cool. Purify Land. As an action, you can touch the ground and temporarily purify it. Upon doing so, any space within 30 feet of you are placed under the effects of the Hallow spell for 1d8 days, and any unnaturally formed difficult terrain within those spaces removed. Once you use this feature, you cannot use it again until you finish a short or long rest. Seems a little strong, but it is 10th level, so we'll leave the judgment on that. Healing Aurora. When you cast a spell at first level or higher that deals cold or fire damage, you regain 1 hit point for each damage the spell has, and any allied creature, I'm assuming, has dealt to any allied creature within 5 feet, you regain half as much. That seems really strong. But I suppose it would be useful for high level, especially if you don't have many healers in your party. Having said that, I feel like healers are given too many options for healing in 5th edition, to where I almost never see people run out of Cure Wounds spells, and because of that, I almost never see people run out of hit points. And if they do, they usually survive. Damage die, not damage dealt. Damage on hit point for each damage die the spell has. Oh, I see. Still a bit strong, but it is 14th level. For example, 2d6 damage would always heal too. Got it. Oh, I see. Allied creatures within 5 feet of you regain half as much as that. So, like you said, 2d6 would be 2, and they regain 1. So, that does not seem as bad. Not that it was bad before, it just, it seemed a little strong, but it's actually not very strong at all. Seems balanced to me. Yeah, seems alright. Seems like this person knows how to homebrew, which is my gripes about homebrew before, like I even prefaced when I said it, was, homebrew is not necessarily poorly balanced anymore, because even well into the 5th edition years, a lot of homebrew was just poorly balanced, but now we're starting to see lots of well-balanced homebrew. And it has to be spells of first level higher. Cantrips can't heal you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because of course cantrips are unending. You have unlimited number of cantrips, which is a gripe I have about cantrips. I feel like they should be a little stronger in 5th edition, but should also have a limit, because in 3.5 cantrips did have a limit. You only had so many cantrip slots. Now, you usually had a shitload more cantrip slots than, say, even first level, but I also prefer the magic system in 3.5 because it was far more complex, and spellcasters had more options. part of that being from the feat system in 3.5, which was pretty ridiculous. And also because, different spell levels have different spell DC than your spellcasting DC. You know, so like if you cast a first level spell and you had say 14 intelligence, we'll say, then the first level spell would be 13 DC, second level 14, third level 15, a little more complex. And then it went as to say that, you know, spell effect distance and, you know, spell range, spell duration, and spell more or less how effective a spell was based on your caster level, which was just simply your, you know, if you were a single class spellcaster like a level 6 cleric, your spellcaster level would be 6. And then some spells, you know, because they were lower level, had a limit to how many times you could add things based on your caster level, which made higher level versions of some spells better because they were higher level. They allowed for a higher caster level. So even though I'm not a big fan of Magic in 5th edition because it's so much more strong, so much stronger, if I can use correct grammar, it's so much stronger than the martial classes, even though the martial classes do feel a little strong. It's so much stronger than martial classes that it's just like there's no close, like when you go, if it's level 20 wizard versus level 20 fighter, it's not even a competition. Been homebrewing for around a year now. That's some decent experience. And considering how well you've kind of got the rules here, and how much experience you have in homebrewing, which is decent but not a whole lot, it's actually well written. So hopefully you can get that even more fine-tuned to be great. But even with 5th edition spellcasting being extremely strong, almost overpoweredly so, that it's not as good as it was in 3.5, because in 3.5 you had options and complexity. And I feel like that's where 5th edition is both good and bad, is that it lacks complexity. It's good because it gets people more eased into the game to where they're like, oh, I don't have to stare at a shitload of skills and look at all these numbers and crunch math numbers in my head to play the game and have a good time. I can just kind of do all these simple rules and, you know, get in character and enjoy rolling dice and have all that. That's fine. I have a rogue subclass that people really like, want to look at that. Yeah, go ahead and share it. But then when it comes to people like me, now I feel like I'm mostly an exception because I'm like delving into the territory of, you know, it's not D&D that it's not D&D that I want. It's just D&D that I have a problem with, you know, where I'm going to be making my own RPG soon. But it's a for people who want a little more complex rules, especially just comparing to what we had in 3.5, that's where the lack of complexity is a bad thing, because it kind of makes the game feel a little basic and too simple, and as I've heard before, baby's first tabletop, when D&D should be, not that it is, but should be on this pedestal as the greatest game ever. I have to go and get some stuff done. I'll be back later. All right, well, I don't know how much longer I'm going to stream because I'm starting to get a scratchy throat, but I'm going to drink some water to help with that. And in fact, I might do what Pathfinder did with the 3.5 Open Games license and take the D&D 5th Edition Open Games license and make my own game out of it. Granted, my own game, like it would basically functionally work like D&D, but if you looked at the rules, you'd probably say this isn't like D&D at all. because races would actually have a more story importance instead of a this race gets this bonus. Now granted, I'm still gonna have more or less racial traits, but it's gonna be you get to choose them, because that's like your character's starting features. And as far as like class abilities go, I'm gonna make, you know, several abilities, but it's not gonna be class based. It's because it's gonna be, you know, no classes, a classless system. Weapons and armor will be completely overhauled to where armor is more protective, but you know, doesn't work in the sense of I hit the guy in armor, I do damage. It's going to be like, okay, well, the guy in full plate armor really can't take damage from you striking at them with an axe because their cuirass is too thick. So, you know, the player might go, okay, well, then I tackle him to the ground, and, you know, in my next few turns, I'm going to try and shove a knife through his weak spots or just straight through his visor. Or the gaps in the visor, so to say. Rogue is there. All right, we'll see it. To where combat's more than just I roll dice, I hit. All right, Sunshade. This sounds cool. Sunshades are scoundrels and assassins that have mastered the ability to sneak using the powers of light. By manipulating light around them, they can rival the most powerful bounty hunters in lethality, whilst everyone around them is none the wiser. Many Sunshades, although not all, are in fact envoys of gods that hold domain over light, tasked with hunting down their deity's enemies and bringing forth radiant justice. However, for those few who use the arts of this craft without connection to a god, their foes should be cautious, lest that foe's unlucky corpse becomes the Sunshade's next torch. Excuse me. Gift of Light. At 3rd level, you gain proficiency in the religion skill and learn the light cantrip. Makes sense. Radiant Ray. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, while not in darkness as a bonus action, you can shoot forth a glowing ray of condensed light at a target you can see within 60 feet of you. Make a ranged spell attack against targets using wisdom for the attack roll. You are considered proficient with the spell attack. On a hit, the target takes radiant damage equal to 1d4 plus your wisdom modifier. Must succeed on a constitution saving throw against DC equal to 8 plus your wisdom modifier plus your proficiency bonus, or be blinded until the end of your next turn. Ooh, that's real strong for 3rd level, but, you know, how it actually plays out might be totally fine. So that's like kind of up in the air. Concealing Radiance. Upon reaching 9th level, when a creature fails the constitution saving throw against being blinded by your radiant ray, until the end of your next turn, the target sheds bright light for 10 feet and dim light for an additional 10 feet, which prevents it from going invisible. While within the light, you have advantage on dexterity stealth checks as it magically conceals you. That's kind of fun. It's like reverse Shadow Monk. Did you like the flavor text? I actually did. It's kind of cool. That's like reverse Shadow Monk. That's really cool. And it's more situational, so it's not like super OP. Dagger of the Sun. I said danger. Danger. High voltage. At 13th level, when you successfully sneak attack a creature while in an area of bright light, you deal an additional 2d6 radiant damage, and you can choose to convert the sneak attack damage into radiant damage. When this occurs, shimmering blades swarm the target. It's kind of nice flavor text there. Cloak of the Dawn. When you reach 17th level while in an area of bright light, as part of you attempting to hide, you can turn invisible until the end of your next turn. The invisibility ends early if you attack a creature, and while invisible, you are immune to radiant and necrotic damage. You can do so a number of times per day equal to your wisdom modifier, minimum of once, and regain the ability to do so after you finish a long rest. Let's see. Attempting to hide, can turn invisible. Okay, that's pretty well balanced. Ability ends if you attack creature while invisible. Maybe into radiant necrotic damage. That's pretty good. You do so a number of times. Okay. And considering rogues probably won't put a whole lot of points in wisdom even as this subclass, that 17th level ability is actually really well balanced. So good job. Thumbs up. That's a really good ability. Both strong as a 17th level ability capstone and pretty well balanced. So I guess my gripes about homebrew being unbalanced is outdated. It's a wisdom-based rogue, yeah. So even though the subclass would make a rogue playing it, focus on wisdom, naturally rogues don't necessarily go for wisdom. So it's not like that. Even so, the soft cap for ability scores is 20. So it's not like they're going to be able to do this a shitload of times. So, and it's not like they're going to never be able to do it because, the player will probably want to focus on wisdom. Perception will be this thing's friend. Yeah. So, it's actually really well balanced where it's situational, but it's not like never going to happen. But even when it does happen, it actually pays off. Because, they become immune to radiant necrotic damage, which is also, very situational. So, if you're going to be doing like, this is like going to fit in with the paladin or a cleric of like a light domain, or if you're specifically doing like a, we're going to be fighting, bad guys like demons and whatnot, or undead, then that would be a really good subclass to play. That sounds like fun. Well done. Ooh, they're crackening. All right. Well, what else can we talk about for D&D? Wanted to do a unique take on the typical dark and edgy rogue. Yeah, it's kind of neat. I like it. I suppose I could show you my map and then probably think about closing out the stream from there. Just to click on this thing. So here we have my very first continent, which was going to just be the only continent, but then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I added a shitload of more countries? So I have, of course, several continents, this one being a big one, this series of islands with this one with series of islands here, series of islands here. There's a lot of text on screen. Are there any Fey-touched areas in your world? I haven't gotten that far. I mostly just designed the map, and what I did was a little unoriginal, but it's more original than just creating something completely out of fantasy, is I took real-life countries, based it on what was going on in that country in a specific time period, usually anywhere between the 1400s to the 1600s, and if I couldn't find anything in that time period, I just went with whatever was closest to that time period. I have some Fey flora if you want it. No, I'm good. I added just about every nation that exists in our real world, Earth, into my game, but as a fantasy version. And because I'm actually not very creative when it comes to designing a world, and I prefer a lot of random generation, what I'm doing with a lot of my places, although this was a little more curated, this very first area, is I'm randomly generating numbers of cities, numbers of ruins, and the cities themselves. So I won't necessarily be randomly generating things like the ruins of castles and dungeons and crypts and all that. Those will be like, okay, well, the random generation created it, but I'm going to have a little more curated design of the area itself. So that way, when my world is done, however, when campaigns are being played, it's probably going to be a matter of, okay, well, the campaign takes place in the Islet of Mamluka, so, I'll just design the Islet of Mamluka so that I don't have to do the entire world before trying to get a campaign going. So you can see that I'm using words like nomadic chiefdom, dynastic empire, islet, caliphate, empire, kingdom. Over here we have the prince bishopry, although I think I misspelled this. Maybe that's actually correct. Prince bishopric, grand empire, papal states, stuff like that. City states, Khanate, probably, I don't know how it's pronounced, Khanate. A tripartite division. And I actually have, you have to go. All right, well, thank you for sharing your homebrew with us. You, of course, being a member of the Discord, you can, you know, be a member of the community. Welcome in, and good job on your homebrew, and we'll see you again sometime. Getting a phone call. Don't know who it's from, so it's going away. So yeah, I'm having quite a lot of fun with designing the world. Having said that, I have not worked on the world in some time. But I also have basically the real world counterpart to my various nations in the game world, to say like, okay, well, I have notes on what this is based off, so I'm not just freeballing it and losing track of myself. So, having said all that, I think I'm gonna get some content ready to go for the next D&D stream, which will be on Thursday. And we'll have some talks then about some new stuff. Maybe I'll start working on some, you know, my own pen and paper RPG. And, the crackening. And we'll see you all later. Let's see if there's somebody we can go host here. Yes. You know, I think I am making a change for the better. Thank you for stopping by, Mr. Necro, Oliver, Faylire, Himamli, and everybody else. So let's go and find somebody that we want to raid. Let's go raid the Techno Ted. Currently playing at Kingdom Come Deliverance. Pleasure as always. Take care. Alrighty, well, we'll see you around. This is actually a lot of fun. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. You know? Had fun talking about D&D. I was having fun playing Breakpoint, but it's just... I can only do so much with video games to where when it doesn't let me grow, it's just like, I have to do something different. Even if I come back to video games later, I have to do something different for now. So, join me in the raid. Go say nice things to Techno Ted. If you like what you see, give him a follow. Without further ado, I bid you adieu. We'll see you on Thursday. And here, there, and everywhere on the internet. So, we'll see you then. Goodbye, bye, 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 bye.